Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lost in the Reel. This is your host, Shawn, and
Your co-host, Morgan.
the Oscar release deadline is quickly approaching. So, we are going to be talking about one of the season's biggest contenders in Amazon Prime's One Night in Miami, Regina King's directorial debut.
So, One Night in Miami takes place during One Night in Miami on February 25th, 1964, and it follows four main leads in a hotel room, essentially. Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Cassius Clay, now known as Muhammad Ali, and then famous football player Jim Brown. And it follows their roles during the civil rights movement and just the general racist turmoil during the 1960s.
Before we give you our thoughts on One Night in Miami, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you liked it, and also comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts on One Night in Miami are. We love to have conversations here at Lost in the Reel. Now, on to our review.
So, Shawn, One Night in Miami, Regina King's first movie as a director. What did you think?
I thought this was a really great film. Once again, we are getting another movie based on a stage play. I think that's kind of a theme with a lot of these Oscar movies from last year, but I'm all in for it. I thought that this movie's script was outstanding, and it has so much to say about social injustice and faith, and just what it means to have power in this world. So a lot of its themes are very universal and profound. And holy crap, those performances are amazing. What are your
Um,
thoughts?
Everything you said is when I started it, I was like, oh, another screenplay based on a stage play, and I was like, very interesting. Uh, but I agree, the performance is all outstanding. You can immediately feel the chemistry between the four actors as friends. They just seem very established, very like long-term friendship going on. And then I genuinely was shocked by how well Regina King did as a director for her first time. Her camera movements just really were engaging the whole time. A lot of times when I myself can be a little biased when the format and style of a stage play, when translated to film, can be a little blocky. Like I feel like sometimes I'm being talked at, the dialogue doesn't flow, but her camera movements were so engaging.
I don't know if I completely agree with you. I really thought that her direction was competent, but I think it was completely overshadowed by these performances and that incredible script. I don't know. I thought that she did justice to this play and to this screenplay, but I don't know if I found anything special about it.
Really, not as there are so many scenes, particularly with Leslie Odom Jr.'s Sam Cooke portrayal, where her camera movements absolutely empowered more of that dialogue. I think specifically on the rooftop or the performance
Mm.
uh, on stage. Huh? I was There were a few times where I was just like kind of like my jaw dropped. I was really impressed by her.
Interesting. Okay, I'll definitely have to watch it again and really pinpoint my thoughts just on her directing because I was just so flabbergasted by how much I loved this script that I think maybe I wasn't paying as much attention to her directing. But like I said, I mean, I thought she did a great job. It wasn't the standout to me.
Mm. So, Shawn, what was like your main takeaway from this film?
My main takeaway is, what you do with your power if you've been given, power or status in the world, like your actions are your words. They really mean something. You can't take it for granted. If you leave your podium unattended, if you've been given that podium to speak on, you have the responsibility to use your words and your actions for the betterment of the world. You can't just not say anything and go on your merry way. You have to own what you do in this world because it affects other people. That was my biggest takeaway from it.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I agree. Malcolm's, I guess, lecture towards Sam Cooke and how he has a good amount of power as a major performer, and he didn't feel like he was using it correctly.
Yep.
Um, but you can see there's a lot of arguments about what is power and what is the proper use to define it, and I thought that was so well written as a screenplay. I yeah, that was great.
Well, let's talk about this screenplay because this is what I was just so mind blown about how beautiful this screenplay is. It is written by Kemp Powers, and Kemp Powers did write this the play as well. So Kemp Powers literally is probably going to be nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Original Screenplay for Soul in one year.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
insane is
that's crazy. When I saw the credits at the end, and I was like, Ken Powers, like Ken Powers, and so I was just a little like, well, interesting. But and I love both of those written films. I've mentioned this before. I have a very hard time with the translation of stage play into film. I think there's always something missing there, and I'm always left with the feeling of, oh, I just would rather have seen it on stage than in a film. Some points I did think were a little drawn out, and could have been trimmed. It was a little bit too long, but then that's when Regina King's directing came in, and her camera movements kept it engaging again. Oh,
I very much so agree with you on some things did feel dragged out. I do think it could have been trimmed maybe just like 10 minutes to
mm-hmm.
really, make it a little bit of a tighter film. And maybe some of the emotional impact wasn't, maybe it wasn't as much there because it was drawn out a little bit. What are your thoughts on the emotional impact of the film?
I agree. I think it was still incredibly moving and powerful, but at some points felt a little repetitive. Like we just had this kind of morality lesson, but we were kind of like hammering it in again. So I thought some of that could have been trimmed. Um, and but also at the same point, like it did kind of point out more of the characters. Like we got to see more character development through the dialogue again. But I don't know. What did you
Yeah.
think?
I was completely moved, and the ending gave me chills.
Hmm.
I just thought it was they just tied it together in that bow that I wanted, and it was beautiful. It was pretty much a perfect ending of the film to me. But it didn't have a huge emotional impact, maybe say like the ending of Ma Rainey did for me at least.
Hmm. I agree. Which is why I left it like thinking, oh, this would have been more powerful on stage. Just like every time, just the performances and just the idea of how it would played out. Yes, okay. But the actors in it like did so well with it, so well. Oh my gosh. I just
This cast is insane. I don't know about you. I think that Kingsley Ben-Adir as Malcolm X and Leslie Odom Jr. as Sam Cooke, I think those two were so unbelievably good, and they both absolutely deserve Oscar nominations that I think they did overshadow Eli Goree and Aldis Hodge a little bit, but I still think as an ensemble, the four of them are incredible. So, Morgan, how many tubs of vanilla ice cream would you give One Night in Miami?
the acting is amazing. Regina King as a this being her first film, I was genuinely impressed, and I want to see her direct more things. It being this stage play original, I think the writing was still powerful and impressive, but there's something missing in translation, it being put into film, and so I am sadly going to give it 4 out of 5 vanilla tubs of ice cream.
Hey, that's still a really good score.
I know, almost perfect. What about you, Shawn?
So I'm going to be giving it 3.75 tubs of vanilla ice cream out of 5. I pretty much mirror everything that you said. I just do think it needed to be cut a little bit, and it didn't have a huge emotional impact for me besides that incredible ending. But I love this movie. Great script, incredible performances. Regina King pretty competently directed this film, I think. I want her to see her maybe do some maybe original work outside of a stage play adaptation, but all around, this is a must see for me.